Good evening, Excellency, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome once again to Cambodia Global Dialogue of Southeast Asia TV. This month, we feel the heat. We feel that climate change is real. A few years ago, we have a big flood. Things happening all around the world, all relating to climate change. But then again, people say, well, what can we do about it? I think technology has a big role to play to help tackle issue of climate change. And for me, today I have the pleasure to have with me, a good friend who is working for General Electric, Dararith Lim. He's the country leader for GE in Cambodia. And we're going to be talking a bit about science, technology, how we use the science and technology to in different way, to tackle not just about climate change, not just about renewable energy, but also relate to other things like in health sector, in the medical field, in radiology, all that thing. So I'm just looking forward to have a good discussion on that, and how can the audience appreciate a bit the use of science and technology to improve our society. So Dararith, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Bob.
Yeah, Dararith, before we start, why don't you share a bit about your personal background a bit? You're Cambodian born, of course.
Yes, actually, when I was young, I went through the Khmer Rouge. From there, after the killing field, my family, we actually escaped to the refugee camps in Thailand.
Okay.
From there, we managed to find a sponsor. Who sponsored us to Australia, Melbourne.
So what year was that? What year was that?
It was 1981.
Ah, see, well, mine was 1980. Yeah,
Right,
but anyway.
right. So in 1981, we arrived in Melbourne. That's where we, had the opportunity to live in a life that we were very fortunate. So that's where I had my education and worked in Australia. From there, after all the experience that I had in the work environment, I decided, why not come back to Cambodia and help Cambodia in a way that I could. So that's when I decided to leave Australia and come back in 2005.
Okay. And then, you major in what? In business?
I actually majored in accounting and IT.
IT.
So
okay.
that was my, I guess, passion. I believe in IT was very important during those times. Technologies plays a major role.
Yes.
And also finance was something which is, I guess, in every business you need finance.
You need finance, yeah. And then how do you get to join the GE?
Yeah. GE, basically when GE came into the country in 2007, they were looking for a country leader to start the business here in Cambodia. So that's when I was very fortunate to be recruited to start up the business here in 2007. But with my experience, I guess, working in Australia, at the same time work in the Ministry of Tourism for a very short period of time.
You did help the Ministry of Tourism for a bit, right?
I did. I guess one of my reasons for coming back to Cambodia was to contribute to the country.
All right.
So in the 2005, the only way was to work for the government.
Yes.
And that's when I basically worked for a few years there.
Good. So tell me a bit about GE came in 2007. I think. Wow, GE is, everybody know about GE, but I think it's interesting that you share a bit the historical background, because in our show a lot of university students are watching, and I'm sure they don't know that fact, that historical fact.
Right. Well, GE basically the founder was Thomas Edison. He, you may know
the genius
who actually invented the light bulb.
The
light bulb. So that was over 130 years ago.
Yes.
That's where our company started. So from there, the company sort of evolved in innovation, creating something new and one step in advance. From there, that's how the company evolved itself. So now, as at today, we basically, employ over 300,000 employees.
Wow.
We operated over 100, countries around the world. Our last, country that we just went into was Myanmar.
Okay. Okay. Yes. So in ASEAN country, you are everywhere, I assume.
Yes, actually in ASEAN, we basically now located in all 9 countries,
Is that right? Okay,
including Cambodia.
Yes,
in Cambodia, as earlier mentioned, we opened the office here in 2007.
Yes.
That's when we basically find that Cambodia has so much opportunity and also it has so much need as well.
Interesting, because I remember back in 2010, the Royal government was pushing to have a policy on production of paddy and export of rice.
Right.
And 2 years later, we find that as we monitor the progress of the rice export, we see that our rice is climbing, the export, right? From before 2010, only like 15,000 metric ton. This year, we're about 200 plus thousand metric ton, right? So it's really climbing. But in talking, of course, the goal in 2015 is to have 1 million tons of export. But in talking to many of the rice miller we find that the main issue that make us still uncompetitive as compared to neighbor is the issue of energy, right? The cost of energy is still high, and I understand, that many of the rice millers are looking for ways to reduce that cost, right? So I understand GE is also working on some similar technology, how to reduce biomass into energy. Would you care to share a bit what GE is doing in that field?
So as you know, GE, basically we are a technology company that we into the healthcare sectors, transportation, we into the home security, we also into the transportation, at the same time to finance as well. Now, as you mentioned, renewable energy that has much opportunity. Renewables, that's something which we found in Cambodia that has many agricultural waste from the paddy rice. That's where GE come up with a solution where how can we convert this waste to energy?
The husk, the rice
husk. So basically the rice husk, in which we come up with a solution where how do we utilize this rice husk and burn it and generate power. And that's where we are currently working with a local company, Soma Group, in generating this biomass, burning this rice husk to produce power, and then basically producing energy, and then use it to sell back to the grid, and then basically to produce sufficient electrification for the rural usage.
So when you burn the rice husk, in fact it converts into gas, right?
Right.
And then from the gas, but you still need some traditional diesel turbine or something.
Basically,
no?
The traditional gasification, some are using diesel and then use the gasification. With the solution that we have combined at the moment is consists of gasification, 100% gasification.
Okay.
Which is a technology that converts the rice husk to gasification, in which the solution will use our GE engine, which is Waukesha.
Okay.
And that will produce the power from there.
Okay.
So basically, this is 100% gasification solution.
Is that right? 100%. Wow, that's quite interesting. And you see, it's a pilot project for Cambodia, right?
Correct. Right. This is the first project within the ASEAN.
With ASEAN?
With ASEAN.
Even, wow.
And we hope this will be a pilot in which will be rolled across the region.
Speaking of course, you shift, from traditional fuel burn energy to renewable energy. What are the efficiency that you gain? Do you save money quite a bit? I mean, does the miller, save the money?
That's right. If you look at the current electricity costs around the region, it's quite expensive to utilize the energy in the moment, electricity. So if the rice millers they're producing their own waste anyway, so all this waste is being thrown away.
Okay.
So if they use this waste and burn it to gasify it, to produce energy from that, so basically they can use that electricity for their own consumption.
Okay.
And that way it saves them money. Rather than through the normal kind of energy.
Some miller are quite small, so maybe their rice husk is not a lot. But for huge miller, they have a lot of rice husk, a lot of waste, right, that they can burn to. But what happens if they have a lot they generate a lot of energy, more than their rice mill can use. Can they sell to the grid?
Right. I think this is something which the rice millers, they have the opportunity to negotiate with EDC or with the independent power producers.
Oh, very good.
To be able to supply that surplus of energy back to national grid.
Yes.
And sell it back
yes.
to the grid as I guess, extra revenue for them as well.
Okay.
This is
and then from the grid, it go to supply the town or the village, whatever.
Yes. This is where they can also act as an IPP, which is having an opportunity to produce energy for the towns and rural electrification as well.
Interesting. So it's not only to help the rice miller save some money and turn waste into energy, but it's also a way to contribute to local, regional, provincial development as well. I mean, wow, that's quite interesting view. I never thought of that secondary effect. I thought it was more for the selfish reason of the rice miller, reduce the cost to become more competitive. But indeed, if they can put back, if they can sell back to the grid and the grid retransmit, resell to the local community, I'm pretty sure it's much cheaper than the diesel burn.
Exactly. I think this is one of the solution that GE is able to contribute to the government. As you know, the government in the process of trying to electrify, provide electricity across the region.
Yes.
And as the government is also pushing towards the agriculture and export of rice. So this is where you have, your own waste. And you have the opportunity to create energy and then supply the energy back to your population as well.
My understanding, is that the government have the goal in 2030 to have energy for all, electricity for all, right? In many different form. So this could be one of the contribution toward the national rural electrification, right? And currently, I think it's important to know that if we are able to export 1 million tons of rice, it means normally it will take 2-3 million metric ton of paddy. So that's a lot of rice husk, throughout the country, not just in one particular part, because in Cambodia rice is everywhere, right? So in this sense, if your technology, if your pioneering approach, work, perhaps other rice miller across the country could look in, probably not in a huge, big model, but more reduced model. But this could be one option that GE could contribute using the latest technology. What do you think?
Agree. This is one of the solutions
yes.
that we can contribute to the current development
yes.
in helping the country to,
yes.
As you said, rural electrification
yes.
across the nation. We also have other, technology that GE has
yes.
that also contribute to the energy sectors.
I see. Like, give me some example.
Like, we have other what called technology in terms of the combined cycle, thermal powers,
yes.
and so on.
Yes.
And also in the oil and gas sectors as well.
Wow, this powerful statement what you said, because the royal government now is currently preparing the first ever industrial policy. Because the idea is that in a few years' time, we will graduate from a least developed country to a middle income country. And you get there only if you are able to have a successful industrialization process, right? Yes, it's nice to have tourists and everything, but tourism is only an angle. But to get the country to the next level, it has to be through manufacturing. It has to be through industry. And all these things require energy.
Right.
So if energy is too expensive, we will not be able to attract investors to come, right? So I'm glad to hear that GE is here to help contribute. I like the way you always put it, solution, Right. How do you find solution? That's probably the GE motto.
Yes.
But, I want to shift a bit, speaking of science and technology, more on the human dimension a bit. Of course, it's nice to have industry, it's nice to have energy, it's nice to see the country competitive, but, for the government, inclusiveness is very important. The wealth, the prosperity, the growth of our nation can only be, sort of like good, justify if the rural population also benefit if the health of the population benefit. I understand GE have a big program to help the health sector.
Right.
Could you expand a bit on that one?
Sure. You know, as you know, GE, wherever we go, we basically in the country for the long term. It's
Yes.
a long partnership between the company GE and the
Yes.
government and the people of Cambodia as well. As you earlier indicated, you know, healthcare is something which is very important to any countries, especially Cambodia, where there is a big need of healthcare access in terms of not just access in terms of to the doctors, but also to technology as well. This is where GE is able to provide that kind of solution in terms of technology-wise. One of our contributions to the country, we were very fortunate under GE as a company, was to have our GE Foundation, who comes into the country in 2008 to donate equipment, medical equipment, to the Ministry of Health provincial referral hospitals. That's why we started in 2008, in which we donated key equipment such as the ultrasound, mobile x-rays, anesthesia, ventilators, and so on to these 24 provinces. So for the past 4 years, we have been very actively involved in, with the Ministry of Health under a great support from the government and the Minister of Health, and working together and how do we provide these technologies across the country and giving the people the opportunity to have access to this new technology. So what we do basically, we also not just provide the technology to the hospital, but we also train the doctors and users how to use this latest technology in providing the care to the population itself.
So in a way, of course, you know, access to technology is important, but it's important that people know how to use this technology. But once they know how to use it, you know, it's sort of like it have a life on its own, because you don't want to go back. It's like when you know how to use a good computer or an iPad, right? You don't want to go back, right? You want to go further. So in this sense, your program has a lot to do with capacity building of a health service provider, though, right?
Agree.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the key, really. I mean, under GE Foundation in supporting this program, it's not just giving technology to the Ministry of Health.
Yes.
It's basically how do you make sure the doctors know how to use this equipment and the nurses how to utilize this equipment for the patient's care.
Yes.
And the key point that you said is capacity building.
Yes.
And that's where GE Foundation will continue to support the Ministry of Health in building this capacity. And that's where next month we will be doing another contribution with the Ministry of Health in helping the Ministry of Health to create this capacity in making sure Cambodia has the ability to generate field engineers and be able to fix these medical equipment.
I see.
Not just GE brand, but also brand in overall.
That's great. That's really something that I find that in the design of the industrial policy, you know, we stress a lot of the capacity, you know, to not just to import or buy technology, but it's of no purpose if the machine breaks down and you have to ship it back to the country of export, right? So capacity building of an engineer, of a technician is very important. But you know, I want to say that you're doing a good job to deal with the Ministry of Health, you know, helping, you know, the public sector side. But, you know, the country is growing by leaps and bounds. And what you see throughout the country is a thriving private sector, thriving young entrepreneurship, Cambodian who are out there, you know, doing business. And you see also a lot of private medical clinic also, you know. So do you intend at some point to reach out also to the private practitioner?
Yes. We have been doing that for the past few years since the company engaged with in the country itself.
Yes.
You're right. I mean, you know, Cambodia has a very young population.
Yes.
You know, as you know, 60% of the population is below the age of 25. There is a great opportunity where the young generation is reaching out to the latest technology. In the healthcare sector, we see there's a growth in the medical field and opening, you know, new clinics and new hospitals. And that's why GE is able to provide that technology solution through our local dealers under, you know, our medical, our healthcare sectors. So this is where we're able to sell these equipment through the local dealers to the customers across the country itself.
Yes. No, I find that if you are able, if you succeed, if GE succeed in reaching out to a private practitioner with the right equipment, with the right technology, I think the effect on the economy of the Cambodian economy, the money that the Cambodians are spending outside, flying to Singapore, to Bangkok, go to Vietnam, and depending on their means, of course, but it's still money going outside the country.
Right.
So, this is a way also that you can keep the money in country.
Right.
But again, since it is a private choice,
right.
Everyone care about their own health, and if they do not see that we don't have the capability to take care of their health in country, they fly out.
Right.
So the message should be the other way around, that yes, now we are a young medical practitioner, maybe young, but access to technology is there. In this matter of few years, they should be in position. You have ultrasound, modern ultrasound. I mean, the ultrasound will tell you a lot of things already.
Right.
That so it does help, right? So this is something that I find the ripple effect on the dimension of the local economy is very, very important. So you have to keep it up. Reach out to the private sector. Push more on that angle.
Right.
Yeah.
Agree, Bong. I mean, this is something which GE is committed to work with the local public and private sectors.
Yeah.
And this is where GE also find the importance of building the local talents.
Okay.
So basically, not just coming in and basically engage on the commercial side, but be also investing in the local talents.
Yes.
And building these local talents. Even myself, I mean, it's a classic example where I have the opportunity to be, in Australia, but GE brought me back here as a Cambodian to build that local talent. At the same time, to employ the local talent and teach them to be future leaders as well. And that's why the key where GE is not only also engaging with the private sectors and public sectors in helping them to look forward to the future in terms of how do we provide them access to technology, at the same time capacity building to meet the local needs.
Oh, this is great. This is great. Well, Dararith, I'm proud that you are headhunted and then be with GE. It's a good thing for the country. It's a good role model for other young Cambodians to look out for opportunity in multinational. I myself, I was appointed by the Prime Minister as the national candidate to run for the Director General of UNIDO, which is a United Nations Industrial Development Organization. It's a competition, but nonetheless, we Cambodians now, we should be in position to show to the rest of the world that we have capable people. We want to contribute not only to our society, not only to our country, but we also want to be an active global and regional player. And you can only do that, if you are able to understand how things work. You can only understand these things work only if you are part of the system, right? Okay. So I encourage you to stay on, keep motivating other Cambodians to look outside the country, look for opportunity in this big multinational, and then when you get the knowledge, you come back home and serve your country. Okay. So we have a few minutes left. I thought it'd be good that you have maybe a minute or so to maybe leave a message to the young audience that are watching our show. What's the message?
First of all, I'd like to say thank you to Sok Siphana for this opportunity for me to share with you about GE and what we do in the country. My message to the youth at the moment is to love what you do, focus on education, because education is very important in your career and your future. And that is the key foundation for you in terms of pursuing any path that you want to do is basic education, and then basically focus on that area. So that is my key message. Basically, education is very important, and then also let your mind explore new technologies and science, and then just learn what's happening out there in the world, and then try to absorb it and try to apply it into your own daily life and also into your own career path as well. So that is the key message I'd like to share with you. Thank you so much.
Well, Dararith, thank you so much for the taking the time to share, about what you're doing, what she's doing, and nice message to the young audience. So I'm gonna, wrap up the program, and let me just say thank you on behalf of the studio and also on behalf of the audience. Right, thanks. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have a good glimpse on a bit about health, a bit about energy, a bit about science. But one thing I want to take out from this short dialogue is that energy matter for the competitiveness of a nation. Energy matter in the sense that if the right government in Cambodia, if this country gonna move from a least developed country status to a middle income country status, we have to move toward a more intensive industrialization, more manufacturing, and manufacturing require energy. So it's important that we look at energy as a source of growth, but renewable energy also matter because with all the climate change happening, with all the things that we are suffering from the heat, from the flood, we have to start looking at alternative energy, source of energy, in this case biomass, and I'm glad that GE is bringing some latest technology to help turn rice husk, which is a waste, into energy, and ultimately also help sort of like electrify the region, the province. So my message is that manufacturing is important, backward linkage, forward linkage is important. The fact that GE is a big multinational, they employed almost a quarter million people worldwide. It's important that we manage to get some of the local company to link up with them, to be part of their supply chain, to be part of their capacity building program. And this way I see the future of the country is that we have to be able to be in the value chain. We have to be able to learn from the big company. We have to be able to absorb their technology. Maybe now Cambodia do not have the capacity to innovate, create our own technology yet. But if we can absorb existing technology, if we can apply, if we can implement, if we can learn, if we can fix those sophisticated technology, machinery, we are one step already in the game. And hopefully 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, we'll be in position to develop our own science, our own innovation. And this is where I see the future of the country is bright. But we got to start, as Dararith said in his message, we have to love science, we have to love education, we have to start, appreciating what technology can do for our life, for our society, and for our country. So on that note, good learning.